Life is very, very interesting. Interesting in a sense that there's something that I've always been taught growing up. My mother used to say it, my father would say it, and all the elders in my family would say is that you can see these are fingers on one hand, but even though they're on one hand, fingers and a thumb, they are all different. Just like human beings, they're all different, and you never grasp the concept of being different until you go through phases in your life. The phase from zero, I guess, to 10. To age 10, there's that phase, and then you get another phase from age 10 to 20. Age 10 to 20, some people are still developing, but funny enough, age 10 to 20, some of us, it's where we knew exactly what we wanted and how we wanted. Though we hadn't, because basically you're still a minor that's trying to grow into a young adult. Even though you know what you want and how you want it, you're still grappling, with the basic stuff of understanding the dynamics of your environment, the dynamics of how you engage with other people, and yeah. But like I was saying, life is quite interesting. I've had the pleasure of having to restart my life 4 times. Isn't like go out, study something, or go out, open up a business. My first attempt at business was actually after I left National Mobile around, was it oh 08 or yeah, 09, I think. My first proper business, my first big business. The one where I was renting out a container as, yeah. It was what, a 9 by 3 meter container where I was selling ice creams from tiny containers to 5 liter size, and juice bottles from something this small to a 5 liter size. The business functioned, it grew. I hired my own cousin, but then my own cousin literally was the one sabotaging the business because every time I would leave the business, yeah, something different would happen to the finances. That failed, went back to, corporate space again from National Mobile. Yeah. Oh, actually, before going back to the corporate space, I studied something. I was doing my motor mechanics. I did it at CJC Johannesburg, and then I did a bit. My N2 was done at CJC Germiston, and yeah, another restart again. Then I got another a second chance to restart my life when I joined Sundown Motors and worked as a mechanic. Well, Sundown Motors, by then it was called Sundown Motors because it was when uh, Daimler Chrysler used to own Mercedes Benz, or the other way around, whichever way. Yeah. Yeah, that was step number two. Spent a couple of years at the dealership. I really had fun. And then, unfortunately, life happened around 2010. My mother started getting sick with clinical depression. From 2010 up until late 2012, early 2013. Again, now for the third time, I had to make a choice. I had to choose between my career and my mother. That was the third time in my life now. I had to choose. Unfortunately, me being me, I couldn't choose my career over my mother. So 2013, yeah, I had to do that. I had to sacrifice my career again and look after my mother. Not that there wasn't anybody looking after my mother. Yes, because yeah, my brothers, they were helpers, but unfortunately most helpers, or most people that care um for sick people do not understand depression. They couldn't wrap their mind around depression because they saw a black lady with three sons, who was being cared for. The other two sons would give her 9 grand each. The other one, hey, would just buy groceries and come and look after. They couldn't understand why is this lady sick, but there's three sons that are doing everything, that are giving her everything. Yeah, we went through about what, almost 7 helpers. The helpers were there just to look after my mother. They were not there to clean. They were not there to cook. All they had to do was just to help my mother through her day. But yeah, they couldn't understand. But you know, uh, after realizing that they couldn't understand her clinical depression, you know, I had to choose again for the third time. I had to sacrifice my life and my career again and look after my mother full time. So yeah, that's what I did. I left Sundown Motors 2013. So from 2013, yeah, it was nothing but hospital runs. If you think somebody dying is worse, trust me, death is peaceful. I can tell you that for a fact. Death is peaceful. There is nothing that tortures a person like looking after somebody who's sick. No, though funny enough, some of the happiest memories was actually doing that. But anyway, like I was saying, I had to restart my life again. Uh, we had, those 3 years from 2013 to 2015 was actually one of the best years ever because growing up, me and her were very different. I was closer to my father more than I was to my mother because the first 8 years of my life, going to kindergarten, what you guys call kindergarten, you call it crash in South Africa. Yeah, every day of my life, going to school and yeah, my father took me. So I did everything with my father. Like I did everything. My first 8 years of my life, I did everything with my father. Going to school, he used to take me to school. In primary, of course. Fridays, I wouldn't attend. Fridays, literally, I wouldn't attend. It would be nothing but me and him going to his workplace. Yeah. But I think by then he was now a furniture salesman. He used to work for TV Live. He used to work for Score at some point, I remember. So Fridays, I never went to school as a kid. I used to go with my father. That's how close we were with my father yeah, up until he died, though it wasn't a natural death. He was actually murdered by a colleague at work. Yeah, because the colleague gave him some medication or what you call me to drink, claiming it was, for because he had a problem with his bile. We call it nyoko. He had a sweet tooth, by the way, my father. Me and him had our tradition. Every morning we used to buy red cakes and tinkies. So he had that man loved his sweet stuff. Even on his birthday, he would buy 4 different cakes. There was never a time in my house we didn't have Black Forest cake. But then again, yeah, that is that part of my life. Yeah. So after those 3 years, on the 28th of June 2015, my mother died in my arms. Most people, they view death as the worst thing that could happen to a person. But after spending 3 years of my life looking after somebody on a full-time basis, somebody who didn't have a wound, somebody that was sick, but when you looked into their face and you spoke to them, you could see their pain. Yeah, depression was something else. So if you think death is the worst thing that could happen to you, trust me, looking after a sick family member and watching them wilt away, watching them decline from being a person with an IQ above 120 to having an IQ of an 18-year-old that is not properly developed, it's something else. It's the worst thing you could ever go through. That was the worst 3 years of my life, in a sense that I got to watch my mother deteriorate. But somehow it was the best 3 years of my life because I got to sacrifice everything, including my career at Mercedes Benz, to look after my mother. Yeah, but then when she died on the 28th of June 2015, I got another chance to restart my life again for the third time. So when you see somebody, and unfortunately, I've always known that my path is going to be different. Knowing that King Mushosho the first is my great grandfather, I've always known that my path will be very different from everybody else. My peers, people my age, my friends, those I know, only the ones I know, their lives have been simple. They went from school to primary, went to high school, studied tertiary, got into their careers, and from there, yeah, everything was just consistent going up until currently. But my life has been more, eh, if you lived my life, I can guarantee you, 90% of the people, if they had those that know me, if they had to live my life, they would have committed suicide in their 20s. Yeah, so after that, I got to restart my life again. After the 20th of June 2015, I went back to the same business that me and my mother and my cousin started in 2010, which is BMST, baby. Our trucking business. Oh Lord, that trucking business has been a challenge. Oh Lord, that trucking business has been a challenge from 2010 up until present. It's been, yeah. Trust me, business is not for the faint-hearted. But yeah, hey, like I said, life has been very interesting. I had to restart my life again for the third time. While business was still performing, uh, unfortunately, I got to mix. I ended up with the wrong business partners. Ended up dealing with a case that had nothing to do with me, but because it involved my business, it ended up with me going through the justice system, having a case and being arrested, spending about what, 19 days in a prison in the Free State. And then again, for the fourth time again, I had to restart my life again. I suppose that's one of the reasons why I never bother reading motivational books. I never read, these business bullshit books that tell you, hey, this is what you do in life, this is what you do with a business, how to grow. Nah. I've only been on this planet for what, 42 years, turning 43. But I've gone through so much that most people they never even got to experience in a lifetime. That's why I've never bothered reading any bullshit book from any author regarding what to do in life, what to do in business, because I've had so many businesses fail and I've had so many business grow that I don't even, there's nothing new that I'm gonna read. The minute I pick up a book, I've picked up so-called business manuals. I read the first three paragraphs. I can tell, oh, I've been through this already. Then I just check it in a corner. You know the rich dad, poor dad book bullshit? I read four paragraphs, I just threw it in the corner, I still have it. Yeah, like I said, life has been quite interesting for me. But crazy enough, even after dealing with all the bullshit, even after dealing with all the bullshit, I never see life as a cup that is half empty. One of the few things that I'm grateful for is that when God created me, He never created me with a negative outlook, no matter how fucked up it is. I don't know how to be negative. I don't know how to feel down. I guess maybe I just happen to be lucky enough not to suffer from low self-esteem or doubt or self-doubt. Those are two quality. I I don't know a lot of things. I just know that I don't have low self-esteem. Actually, my grandmother growing up used to call me fucking arrogant. She used to say, "You are one arrogant motherfucker." I don't have low self-esteem. That's one thing I don't suffer from. That's why I've never done anything to bring somebody else down. I've never done or said anything to put somebody down. No matter how fucked up that person is, no matter how fucked up the stuff they did to me, I've never put them down. Yeah, so life has been quite interesting. When I sit down and reflect, I realize that if I was somebody else and I didn't have the mental conditioning I have, I would have committed somebody else, if they lived my life, they would have committed suicide. Probably when they were 17, again when they were 20, their 20s, again in their 30s, and even now in their 40s, but not me. I suppose it's actually one of the reasons why I never celebrate my goals, because the process in getting to my goals, yes, is fucking hell. If you think shaping a piece of metal like Damascus and putting it through fire is hell, trust me, my life has been something else. It has really, really been something else. Having to restart my life four times, isn't like restart, isn't like start from scratch. Lose your financial income and start from scratch again. Be it a career academy or be it business wise. But one thing I've always done, I've never given up with any of my businesses. My car business is still running. The trucking one is still on hold for now, but Knowing me, the trucking is back again. Uh, yeah. So yeah, it's been very interesting. But hey, the best part about it is that every time I have to restart or every time things fail, I can actually write a 4,000 page book on failures alone in business. That's how much I've gone through. I can literally write a 4,000 page memoir or book on failures on business alone, let alone personal failures, not including bullshit in corporate spaces, not including relationships, just on failures on business alone. So life has been quite interesting for me. Trust me, and every day I reflect. It's every day I thank God that I'm glad you created me the way you created me. You gave me an IQ way above 120. Though every time I show my IQ, people literally get pissed off because they cannot understand what's a black man, what type of a black man doesn't have low self esteem. It frustrates the hell out of that a black guy who doesn't have low self esteem, a black guy that was born in a four-roomed house in Klipspruit, but a black guy that has always known that he comes from a legacy of 1,000 years. I come from a legacy, from a long line of chiefs. I'm a Malapo, by the way, so I come from a long line of kings and chiefs. My clan has been around for 1,000 years. I guess low self-esteem and self-doubt is something that is not built into us as the Malapas. Even my great-grandfather, King Moshoeshoe the First, my biological ancestor, by the way, he never had low self-esteem. He was a man of big ambition, and yeah. So I know, I can understand why my ambition always clouds my judgment. But my ambition always clouds my judgment in a positive way, though. So life has been quite interesting. Very, very interesting. No matter how fucked up the situation is, even with a dead body in my arms, I could never see the glass as half empty. I'm the type of guy that always sees the glass half full. Even if you drain the glass out and leave 3 drops in it, I always see the glass as half full. That's just me. That's been my outlook on life. And I've always had the same thing since I landed on this planet. And I think one day when I leave this planet, I'll still be the same. I never see a glass as half empty. That has never been me. So life has been quite interesting. Even though currently I have more than one business, depending on how you look at things, you can call it very small business. But a business is the business, no matter how small, no matter the scale. But yeah, it's crazy. Life has been quite interesting on my part. It's been quite a wild ride, but I wouldn't swap it for anything else. Even though the amount of pain and heartache that has came with the life that I got to live, I wouldn't swap it for anything else. Yeah, so yeah, this is the fourth time of me restarting my life from scratch, restarting everything in terms of finances and yeah, and direction, restarting everything for the fourth time. Imagine 42 years, but only 42 turning 43, but restarting my life again for the fourth time. Most people go through life without even having to restart once. Most people, when they have to restart, if they lose everything and they have to restart even once, they commit suicide. But oh, Mr. Malapo here, King Jaristo himself, had to restart his life 4 times. Talk about having a thick skin, eh? Talk about having a stomach for bullshit. But I can tell going forward, as long as there's breath in this body, I can tell or what is coming. I can tell what God is bringing my way. That I know for a fact. Considering my tolerance for pain and bullshit, I can tell what is coming. I can tell what is coming. I can tell. Yeah, I am a Mulapo for sure. Because I got to deal with all the bullshit my forefathers got to deal with for over 1,000 years. All my forefathers went through all the same bullshit, both on my mother's side and my father's side. They all went through the same adversity, the same success rate, and all the bullshit. Yeah, I guess being a Malapo is all about being forged in fire. Yeah, all the Malapos, they are all forged in fire. We all go through fire. And we always come out at the end through fire. But yeah, story of my life, reflections. It's really amazing. Life has been quite interesting. Life has been quite interesting. But hey, thank God I'm still alive. And thank God I still get to appreciate the beautiful moments and the fucked up moments. But hey, God has been good. God has been very, very good on my part. God has been very, very good. Highly appreciated. Highly, highly appreciated.